So today I'm going to talk about the amazing healing power of desire. And when I say desire, I mean the soul's desires, not lackful desires. So lackful desires are things that we want for instant gratification. You know, if you feel lonely and you want to find someone to date like as quickly as possible, or connect with an ex that you know is bad for you just so that you don't have to feel your emotions, like that's a lackful desire. And that's okay. We all do that sometimes. But I'm talking about the soul's desires and the healing power of getting in that current. The current of the soul is it's like a wave that you learn how to surf. And eventually it becomes the only wave that exists because you merge with the soul. So desire is what heals us, right? It's what heals our body, our soul, our mind, our emotions. If you want to heal a mental limiting belief pattern, you want to heal an emotional addiction, you want to heal a physical ailment, what you need is the desire to heal. The desire to heal must be greater than the desire to stay the same. That's it. That is the law-based mechanism that creates healing. A lot of people think they want to heal, but they don't know perhaps that they are deriving a lot of benefit, a lot of payoff from staying stuck, from staying small, from staying sick, right? A lot of people stay sick for attention and for, the feeling of being cared for in a way that they were never comfortable aligning to or asking for, so they created it subconsciously. And by the way, I speak from experience. Okay, when I was in the hospital getting cancer treatment, I remember this was in 2012, I was 24 years old, or how old was I? 25. And I said to myself, wow, I did this to get my dad's attention that he never gave me. And I literally healed myself in that moment because I was like, no, this is not what I want. I don't want attention like this. No, I want to be healthy. I want to be vital. I want to be healthy. I'm done with this. It was like something that happened in my mind. So by the way, I want to, first of all, distinguish healing on the soul level and healing on the body level. Sometimes we do heal on the soul level, but the body doesn't necessarily heal, and that's okay, because I am about to explain what really matters is the healing of the soul, the breaking of fears. So we should never measure our progress necessarily by the physical world, because sometimes people experience tremendous healings, but they pass away. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with the physical result. And I'm going to share stories with you from my life about what it feels like to be in the soul's current and to let the soul's energy heal you. So an example is that I'm extremely sensitive to energy, and my Kundalini sometimes gets activated when I am driving on the highway, because the sensation of the open road and the open sky, especially in places like Arizona and Florida where it's like often very sunny and open, I literally sometimes can't feel my body. I feel like I can't even feel my body. I feel like I'm flying. So normally, sometimes that fear would prevent me from doing things or would influence my choices. Like oftentimes I travel based on where I can mostly walk for that reason. But this time, I felt a really strong, my soul wanted to go to Sedona. That current said Sedona. And so that requires me to wake up at 3 a.m., take a 5-hour flight, wait at the airport for a car by myself. Somebody was supposed to join me. They're joining me tomorrow, but I wasn't prepared to do it by myself. And to rent a car and then drive 2.5 hours by myself. And so my ego was like, oh God, that's going to be tough. I felt all this heaviness come up. Oh gosh, this is just going to be a lot for me. And by the way, I don't necessarily recommend you to act in spite of your fears. I'm just sharing with you what I've done and how it's healed me. Take it or leave it. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to do this. This is what my soul wants, and it's going to work out because my soul wants to do this. And so I tell God, I tell the universe when I get in the car, I've said, you know what, I'm tired. You know I'm tired, and you know that sometimes like Kundalini awakens in a really strong way when I'm driving. Can you please protect me in my drive? Can you just protect me, please? Keep me safe on this drive. Get me from Phoenix to Sedona. It was the best drive I've ever had in my life. Nothing, I did not feel ungrounded. It was absolutely like pleasant and wonderful, like the best drive I've had in years actually. And it reminded me of how important it is to be intentional more of the time. When you take a drive, when you pick up your kids from school, you have so many opportunities to set an intention that would be tremendously beneficial to you. So you can use like intention in working with God, because you know, when you're getting to be a good surfer, so to speak, and you're learning how to surf in the wave of the soul, when your fears come up, one of the most important tools that you can have is to replace your protector with God. So you want your protector to be God, not your ego. God is my safety, not my ego and its fears. And so when we break a fear, every time we break a fear and we choose to trust this current of our soul, we've healed. We've called our energy back to us. We are in oneness with the divine. And you know what? Even, I got pulled over that day. He didn't give me a ticket. He was very nice. And I feel like even that was a protection for me. But it's not even about the results. Like, even if I had gotten in the car and even if I had felt ungrounded, the fact that I'm trusting the current of my soul, and I say, you know what, I'll just pull over. I'll deal with it. If I get ungrounded, I will deal with it. I'll pull over, I'll pause, but I'm going in this current. And so I got to my house where I am right now after that long day, and it's like I got wings. Like I got wings, that this energy that I didn't feel before. After a day like that, I'd be exhausted. And I trekked an hour and a half to this sacred place to do a ceremony that led to an incredible prophetic dream that just changed my life. Okay, so that's one example. It's like people say follow your bliss. At first, when you follow the soul, it might not feel like bliss. It might feel like you have to do something, but then things start to challenge you. And the challenge is, to the best of your abilities, follow the current. Follow the current. Even if you don't get what you want in the physical world, the current is what heals you. Another really powerful example of this is when I went to Europe last year. I went to a wedding in Spain, and usually weddings, especially ones that are, my family is Spanish, we eat dinner at like midnight sometimes. That's just like way out of my comfort zone. I go to bed at 9 p.m. I'm an early bird, and 4 days of this is a lot for me, but my soul just was like, you're going to this one. And so what's interesting was the wedding was great. I was glad to be there. And on the way home, one of my worst fears happened, which is that I was on an airplane that broke in the middle of the ocean on the way back to America, had to U-turn and emergency land. That is literally one of the worst fears ever. I'm not a huge fan of flying because I'm so sensitive to the sounds and the shifts and the gears and even the sound of the air outside. I'm so aware of everything, so it's hard to feel grounded for me, but I just go when my soul wants to go. But so that happened, and what was so interesting about that experience was that I felt peace. I was like, wow, this is my worst nightmare. And I just accepted it. I was like, okay, if this is how I go, this is how I go. Whatever, And by the way, it wasn't the kind of emergency where the masks dropped down, how do you call that? The flight attendants were kind of calm, even though they were freaking out a little bit. But I could tell when they're calm, it's not like a huge emergency, like a life or death thing, but it really triggered my fear. And I was like, you know what? I'm at peace. Relatively speaking, I'm at peace. And you know what? Even though I had to emergency land at midnight and get a hotel at 1 a.m., and that wasn't a good physical manifestation, the healing occurred because I faced a fear, and I was able to draw upon some amount of peace in that situation. Because I had that experience, I feel unstoppable. I I don't care. Like, I feel like a freaking cowboy now. And I've shared other things in my life. Like, I've dealt with beings on the other side and certain dark things that I have learned to control and send away and be in my sovereignty relative to those things. All of these experiences sound bad if you're thinking in the short game level, but I think about the long game, the soul game. What fear is this breaking in me? How am I more indomitable now than I was before I had that experience? And so when you're learning to trust this current, like, use God as your protector. Be at peace. Know that, like, if you were called to something, trust it. Trust that there's a healing. And remember, there's a difference between healing and getting what you want. Although a lot of times healing really does help us get what we want. It does help the body heal. It does help us get what we want. But it's not the most important thing to get what we want in the physical world. It is important. I don't want to make it unimportant. So when it comes to getting what you want, you know, what you really want is to be God. I mean, straight up, that's what you really want. You want to be God. So, like, in that airplane, would God freak out? On that drive, would God panic and give up? That's what you want. You want to be your divine self. That's what you really want. So in order to be living in that free way, right, we encounter these blocks, right? These emotional addictions, fears of letting go of people. That was a huge one for me. If you are able to let something go that you know is not good for you, I feel like the reason why we don't do that is because we are afraid of how quickly things can change. Like, we're afraid of how quickly life could change. We are in general, like, afraid of abrupt change. We associate that with something negative. And also especially if you're an empath, it's very difficult to disconnect from the familiar, because especially from another person, because it's like your whole identity is based on your connections with others, right? And that's part of what, if you have a South Node in Libra, that lesson of Libra, of like finding the right relationship with others, sometimes means that you have to learn when you have to disconnect. Staying connected to something that you know, maybe you've received a clear message, maybe you just feel it in your heart. Staying connected to something that you know is not really aligned with your true desires is like trying to live in a burning house. It's like, it will cause chaos for you, for your health, for your mental health, for your emotional. It'll cause chaos for the other person, because life itself is moving in another direction. And so you're going against life when with your free will, you choose to grasp onto the ego's fears instead of going with the current of life. So it's really powerful to learn how to let go. Last night, I let go of something that I realized was not serving me. It's all about desire. So let's talk about the healing power of desire. When you decide, when you go with the current of life and you're like, okay, I agree with life. This is not really true for me. This is not really true for me. Even if it's just like emotionally you can't let go of someone, or mentally you can't let go of someone, when you really like decide and you really like make the decision. I did that last night, and I feel like making a ceremony around it is really powerful. And by the way, doing a ceremony and having an intention it should not feel mechanical or limp. The way that you awaken the spirit to really to that amplitude of energy, which Dr. Joe uses that term, which I love, the amplitude of energy of your decision, of your desire, is what causes the healing. The way that you can actually manufacture that, you don't have to wait to some predestined time, is that you can walk and you can pump yourself up. Do an inventory. You are doing damage to yourself. We change when we realize that staying the same is damaging us. And that changing is a greater option than staying the same. Do an inventory. I'm done with this. I'm done believing I'm worthless. I'm done staying connected to things that I know don't serve me. I'm done. It's creating chaos. It's creating chaos for them. It's creating chaos for me. I'm done. I'm done. I'm ready for the new. I know exactly what I want. You know what you want. Like, some people say, I don't know what I want. Yes, you do. Like, you do. You might not know what career you're going to do, But you know, for example, that do you want to work from home? Do you want to work for someone else? Yeah. Start to tell yourself what you want. Start to tell yourself what you want. Bring it into your awareness. We certainly know what we want in a relationship, most of us, right? Some people are still exploring and going through the contrast, but if you have a foundational code of what is important to you and whatever has been in your life before, it doesn't match that, you better let it go, or else you're trying to live in a burning house. So last night I cut a cord with things that were tethered to my past self in just a very sincere way. I'm at a point now where I don't really have to pump myself up. It's just, I get to this point where I'm like, no, I'm really sincerely done with this. And I let it go. I let it go. I just, with a very firm decision, I let it go. And I woke up this morning and there was a dead mourning dove right in front of my front door. Which I looked up what that means, and it means the peaceful death of the old. The peaceful death of the old. I just peacefully let it go last night. There was a dead freaking bird on my doorstep. I go this morning and I do another ceremony to call in the new, right? I've released the old, I'm calling in the new. And there was a symbol that came into my mind during this experience that I had that was representing of this new that I'm calling in. And on my way back to the parking lot after the hike, I saw that symbol like 4 times on a woman's leg, on a tattoo, on a shirt, on a bumper sticker. Like, I was like, okay. Like, all it takes for you to unlock synchronicity and magic is for you to just, you get into that wave of the soul and you just follow it. Even if you're scared of letting something go, even if you're scared of the new, even if your limiting beliefs and your fears like are trying to stop you, the key to synchronicity is, some people call it following your bliss. It might not feel like bliss. It's following the desire of your soul, following the current of the soul. And I acknowledge that sometimes, people really don't feel like they can, and I have compassion for that. And I want to, on that note, I want to bring up Viktor Frankl, who was in the Holocaust, and his family was murdered, and he was able to find freedom even in that situation. He was able to find freedom because he desired to. And he got out. And even if he hadn't gone out, remember the difference between healing and getting what you want. On a soul level, like the ability to feel free and see the divinity and light in something so dark and so wretched, that soul is, the long game of that soul is, holy shit, that's quite a big deal, isn't it? More so than getting out of that situation, but he did get out of that situation and he shared his wisdom, and we can all learn from that. So look, desire is what heals you. If you can't heal your addiction to guilt, it's because you haven't decided yet that you want to live beyond it. When it comes to things like guilt and worthlessness, it really is powerful to pump yourself up, to walk, because walking makes you move forward. Walk and say to yourself, like, I am done with this. I am done feeling worthless. I know I'm worthy. If your soul has a desire, that's the demand. There's a supply for every demand. You would not want something if it didn't exist. You wouldn't want something if it didn't exist. This idea that you don't deserve something is just a freaking thought. And I acknowledge that thought can create universes. But something that I teach my clients, I do something called Rohan, which is looking at these boxes that we're stuck in a very detailed way. And one way that you can dematerialize a limited belief, first of all, you just have to choose a mantra or an affirmation. If you say those words with conviction, that's all you need to do. It's about the decision. It's not even about the words. It's about the decision you've made. Like, I am wealthy. I am wealthy. Like, I am wealthy. Okay, you might not have $1 million in your bank account in 30 seconds, but you've decided that you're wealthy. It's a decision. Something I teach my clients is when you feel like you're in a box of limitation, that box is literally a construct or a belief, right? So you might feel like you want to be adventurous and free and live from your soul and break free, and then like everything that you see around you is a limitation. So what I teach my clients is to just clap and say, no. You dematerialize it. It's like, imagine the box that you're in disappearing. Just imagine it disappearing. Practice dematerializing these boxes with your will. What many unhealed, people in unhealthy empathy, people who are lost in their environment, people who are not fully in their physical body, what they have to develop is will. Will. This is a tool to help you develop divine will. No, I'm not going to live in this box. I banish you. That attitude that you banish this limitation, guess what? After a little while, it's just going to disappear, because your proactive decision is consciousness, right? This thing that you're in is just a past creation. Current consciousness is stronger than a past creation, period. But really what makes this happen is the decision. It's the decision. So I'm going to expand on desire. I'm going to expand on it. I'm going to unpack it. But I wanted to give this introductory talk. Again, I think it's a really potent time to get clear, to tell the universe what you desire, whatever it is that you already know about it. You might not know every detail about what you want, but today in particular is a very powerful day to do that. So let go of the old, call in the new. Everybody says that, but it's really about the decision to actually use the tools that you've heard a million times. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a beautiful day.